I confronted my husband with the evidence from the detective agency. His face was a mask of resolve as he said, "Roy and I have been having an affair. I'm in love with her, and I've decided to be with her. You need to leave." "Is this really what you want?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. "It doesn't matter what happens next," he replied, his tone unyielding. I took a deep breath and thought about my own life. My name is Amy. I'm 37 years old and work in an office. I live with my husband Ted and our 5-year-old daughter Katie. We're close and support each other through our shortcomings. For now, we're happy as a family. Ted is a fantastic cook and always prepares dinner for us. Since I often work late and put in a lot of overtime, I truly appreciate that Ted handles the housework. One day, my husband sustained an unexpected ligament injury. He decided to play basketball with friends for the first time in ages, pushing himself to make a shot despite not having exercised regularly since starting his job. Although he's 5 years younger than me at 32, his lack of fitness showed. It made no sense for him to act so recklessly, especially with a job and a child to consider. When we were dating, his impulsiveness seemed exciting and new, but now it feels like a major flaw. The injury has landed him in the hospital, requiring him to take time off work. That means I'll have to handle the housework and look after our child alone. Adding to the frustration, the injury occurred at a multi-sport facility, not even a proper basketball court. The company could be outraged if they found out, and he might even face termination. I felt a surge of anger and disillusionment. His irresponsible behavior as an adult has become a serious burden. The doctor said he'll need to stay in the hospital for about 2 weeks. I brought him a change of clothes, a phone charger, and other essentials. "Thanks for bringing these, Amy," he said, his voice unusually upbeat. I couldn't hide my frustration. "Why are you so cheerful? Normally you'd be more upset." "Well, what can I do? It was an accident. Plus, I'll use my paid vacation days, so it'll be fine." "Fine. If it weren't for your injury, you could have saved those vacation days for something important like our daughter's kindergarten event or a family trip. That's what they're meant for. Now your coworkers and bosses will have to pick up the slack because you can't come to work. As for our daughter, I'm grateful my mom could step in and help with her. Without her, I wouldn't be able to manage my overtime, and it would create more problems at work. You need to realize the impact of your actions on everyone around you." I must have been really angry because my complaints just spilled out. My husband looked regretful and said, "I'm sorry." "Maybe I overreacted a bit," I admitted, trying to calm down. I told him get better soon, and left the hospital room. Whether my husband was there or not, my work was still incredibly busy. I planned to ask my mother to continue taking care of our daughter for a bit longer. However, when my boss and co-workers learned about my husband's hospitalization, they insisted I didn't need to work overtime. Thanks to their support, I was able to leave work on time, come home early, cook dinner, and enjoy a meal with my daughter. I didn't have to lean too much on my mother, and I was truly grateful for the kindness of my colleagues. A week later, after finishing work, I took my mother and daughter to visit my husband. As we entered his hospital room, I heard him laughing heartily along with a woman's voice. "Oh my God, Ted. Who's that?" I wondered if the woman was one of his colleagues or perhaps a junior from work. When we entered the hospital room, we found a young, slim, and quite attractive nurse there. "Oh, it's your wife and your lovely daughter," she said, giving us a polite bow before leaving the room. "While I'm juggling everything, you're here chatting with a beautiful nurse so casually," I said, my frustration evident. My husband, noticing my icy demeanor, appeared visibly uneasy. "Thanks for coming," he said, attempting to ease the tension. Fortunately, my daughter's presence softened the moment. "Hi, Dad," she said, hugging him tightly and beaming with joy at seeing him for the first time in a week. "Katie, I missed you so much. Is your leg feeling better?" "Now that you're here, Katie, everything will be okay. So you'll be coming home soon. Yes, I will. Yay! Seeing my daughter so happy lifted my spirits as well. I decided to let the scolding wait for another time. After our visit, my mother mentioned that young nurse was calling his name in such a friendly way. Yeah, she was, I agreed. Her tone did sound quite intimate. Although I found it hard to believe my husband would actually pursue anything with a young, attractive nurse, the thought lingered. Maybe she was looking for someone to be interested in her. They say nurses don't meet many men, so she could be quite forward. Finally, after 2 weeks in the hospital, my husband was discharged. On the day of his release, I visited his room and found him chatting cheerfully with that attractive nurse once again. On the drive home, he seemed unusually bored. I would have expected him to be more enthusiastic about leaving the hospital. This struck me as odd, so I decided to hire a detective agency to investigate. The results came swiftly. After his discharge, he was supposed to go to the hospital for rehabilitation. However, his leg was already healed, and he was lying about needing rehab. Instead, he was visiting the nurse's house. I was stunned. How could my husband be having an affair with her? Or beautiful nurses really drawn to such situations? I confronted my husband with the evidence from the detective agency. He didn't hesitate, saying, "Yes, I'm having an affair. I'm in love with her. I'm going to be with her, and you need to leave. I don't care what happens. I'm in love with her. Fine, do whatever you want. This is absurd," I replied. I packed my things, took my daughter, and went to stay with my parents. When I told my mother what had happened, she was furious. "Knew something wasn't right," she said. "Your instincts were spot on, Mom," I acknowledged. After that, I finalized the divorce with the help of a lawyer, securing alimony and my share of the property. We had some disagreements over the division of assets, but I managed to get what I was entitled to and received the funds I deserved. With that, I felt completely free from my past and ready to start anew with my daughter. But as I began my new life, I started receiving numerous calls from an unknown number. Initially, I ignored them, but their persistence eventually got the better of me. "Hello." Finally, you answer. "Who is this?" I demanded. "Well, who are you?" "I'm Anna, Ted's new wife." "Oh, the woman he cheated with. So what do you want?" You demanded an excessive amount in alimony and property division from my husband. I had a lawyer determine a fair amount. Then why does he need to sell the house to pay it? That's because his salary isn't high enough. How can his salary be low if he works for a foreign invested company? What are you talking about? I'm the one working for a foreign invested company, not him. What do you mean? I'm sure my husband lied to you to make himself look better. I often complained to him about my job and the issues I faced, so he probably used that information to mislead you. The truth is, he's just a regular employee at a small company with a salary that's about half of mine. That's a scam. He claimed he worked for a foreign invested company and that he owned the house outright. But the house is actually in both our names and I made the down payment, so if he wants to stay in the house after the divorce, he'll need to pay me half of its appraised value. Oh no. He's not handsome, doesn't have money, and there's nothing appealing about him. Well, I suppose he wasn't attractive enough for an affair. He was a good dad though. Care how good he is with kids. He cheated on me. I'm sorry to hear that, but you'd better make sure you pay your alimony. If you don't, I'll come after you. Soon after, I received a call from my ex-husband. He was upset because his affair partner had left him just before their wedding. It turned out she had dumped him. But he was the one who lied and tried to impress a beautiful nurse, so he brought this on himself. I told him that if he wanted to address his problems, he should start by earning as much as I do. Then I ended the call. Since then, I only see my ex-husband when my daughter wants to visit him. Each time he sees me, he complains about his situation. I've heard that his injury from playing basketball has caused significant issues at work. His boss is furious, and it seems he'll never get promoted. Honestly, he brought this on himself. Meanwhile, I'm back home, working diligently while my parents help me raise my daughter. Their support allows me to save for her education and take weekend trips with my family. Although I was concerned that the divorce might affect my daughter negatively, she continues to smile just as sweetly as ever. I'm committed to working hard to keep her happy. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.